Daytona Beach, home to the Rolex 24 and to the Great American Race. Today, it plays host to a brand new series. Welcome to the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. And for tonight's running of the Spence Media Co. 250. Welcome to Green Flag TV. My name is Nolan Rempel. Tonight, standing by with Austin Edstrom, and together, we'll be bringing you all of the coverage here tonight from this 250-mile race, 100-lap race here tonight for the Daytona International Speedway. Austin, it is Daytona. It would not be a proper NASCAR league without this historic racetrack as the season opener.
Yeah, no kidding. I absolutely love running at Daytona Beach, Florida. This is just an absolutely amazing traditional racetrack for the NASCAR Cup Series car to travel to every single year. And I love seeing whenever leagues kind of match up the schedule to where Daytona opens up the schedule. It just really matches up well with the Daytona 500 feel. Obviously, we've got about half length of a normal Daytona 500 here ready for us tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It's going to be an exciting 100 laps of racing ahead of us here in this one as we'll look at the schedule coming on over into tonight's race. We kick things off here in August at Daytona. We'll swing on out to the Auto Club Speedway 1 week from now for 125 laps. Las Vegas Motor Speedway will play host to 135 laps before we take our first 1 week break. We return at Phoenix to kick off racing in the month of September. But you take a look throughout the schedule, it's definitely a unique one, not following the traditional NASCAR format. You can see the round of 16 will kick off at Gateway. How about the finale, though, ending over in January at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for 300 miles?
That's actually a great season finale. I absolutely love that. I cannot stand watching the Phoenix finale every year. It's kind of a boring racetrack, and I think that translates over to iRacing pretty well. You know, there's just not really much racing other than that dog leg in the back. So, you know, kicking it over to Charlotte, high tire wear racetrack, that's going to be an awesome championship 4.
It's going to be a phenomenal race for us here in this one, and we'll kick things all off once again at America's home for racing here at the Daytona International Speedway. It is a racetrack where we currently see qualifying underway at this absolutely historic venue. Dalton Kilrow just worked his way out onto the racetrack. He is currently rounding for lap number 1 here in his qualifying effort as he'll put that number 41 MF Racing Designs Chevy Camaro up around the racetrack. We'll see what he'll be able to put down with just only 2 minutes left here in qualifying to kick off round number 1.
Yeah, and you can see he's just running that absolute outside line, not getting too close to the wall so you don't get those wall side drafting effects here, you know, just keeping it just a little bit off of it, making sure that, you know, you use just about all the racetrack as you can without getting that wall side draft is what I'll call it. And then as soon as he takes the green flag for his second lap, he dips right down to the bottom, make sure that he hugs that yellow line just about on the straightaway, and, you know, through the middle of the corner, he's going to get as absolutely close as he can without putting any wheel into it, just to try to get as good of a run off the corner as possible.
177 miles as it stands, where Dalton Kilrow sits 25th currently on the qualifying sheets, looking to put himself a bit further up. A lot of drivers will go ahead and sacrifice that opening lap just so they can try to get themselves all the more sorted for a run later on in qualifying for that secondary lap, and it's looking like he is going to be able to make full use of that secondary lap here in this one as he'll work his way around turn number 4 to the front straightaway, exceeding speeds now of 180. He'll cross, start, finish. Is this going to be any sort of improvement for Dalton Kilrow? He'll cross the line, and it'll be good enough for P8.
Yeah, pretty good lap there from Dalton Kilrow. I don't think that he necessarily missed any time anywhere. I don't know if this league in particular has a rule about not cutting the dog leg on your speed lap. I know that, you know, I do that in all the A Opens that I run. So maybe there's a rule against that. But if there's not, he could have, you know, maybe picked up a little bit of time down on the apron on his actual qualifying lap. But still, an 8th place finish without using it. Pretty good lap.
About 10 seconds left here in qualifying before we'll kick things off for this 150 lapper for the Spence Media Co. 250. We will work our way around, and this will now be your starting grid as we will get set to go racing for 250 miles from the World Center of Racing. Starting on pole position tonight, it's going to be Taylor Butcher Benjamin with Dalton Kilrow now starting beside him on that front row. Starting number 2, Nickerson going to be down in 3rd with Tony Hilbrands to kick it off in 4th. Ricky Hart Jr. will be in 5th with Bridget Olson in 6th. Brian Dees will be in 7th with Cody Williams in 8th. Derek Paulson and Cody Welch will round out the top 10.
11th place is going to be Kevin Foster, followed by Jacob Locklear in 12th place. Row number 7, Ben Lacey in 13th, and Alonzo Chicano in 14th. Curtis Yancey's starting in the 15th position with Austin McGill in the 16th spot. 17th is going to be Jason Greenwell, followed by 18th, Jonathan Canfield. 19th is going to be David Leakley, followed by EJ Luna in 20th place.
And moving on down through the field, we got Eddie from BC Sport bringing it up at 21st spot. Zachary Wareham going to be bringing it up at 22nd. Sean Britt at 23rd, with Paul Wilson at 24th. Connor Gibson for 25th. Michael Thorpe Jr. at 26th. Ethan Moreno going to be in 27th, with Richard Holland at 28th. Mitch Diamond will round out the 29-car field. Everybody from 26th on back opting not to put down a qualifying lap for their qualifying attempts here at the Daytona International Speedway. We'll be able to get to everything here in just a short order about how this whole race is going to line up for us here in this one. And I can tell you right now, though, this race tonight is brought to you by Spence Media Co. It is a media co-promoting, it's a media company promoting positive and unbiased news, especially towards business and economic sector. With opportunities for paid marketing for small businesses and trading courses for those who want to get into trading. You can find out more by following them on Instagram under the handle spence_media.ofc. Field of 29 cars strong will lead the way off of pit road, and nobody opted to start this race from the pits.
Yeah, probably a smart decision. You absolutely want to keep that draft as soon as possible. If you lose that, you're just going to absolutely fall off the pack. Probably get lapped if we run green, and probably 20, 30 laps. So, you know, it's just a smart decision to make sure you stay with the entire pack. But, you know, you did mention about 4 drivers didn't actually qualify. I'm sure they're going to try to keep the pack as well as they can with the draft, but they just want to make sure that they don't get any damage early. This is a long 100-lap race around the Daytona International Speedway, so you just want to keep that nose clean as long as you can.
So at this point in time, it's a brand new season. You've got yourself with 29 cars that assumedly have not raced around each other for too much. This is their inaugural race. They have not run a season before, so this is going to be a first for a lot of these racers out here. What are you thinking? Because a lot of Daytona races I see when you have a brand new league, it tends to be a bit of a caution fest. You reckon we're going to be getting that here tonight, or can we get some green flag running in here?
We definitely could see some green flag running. I think that you might see these guys take it a little bit easier off the beginning. And we see our front 2 guys both have a MF Designs logo on their quarter panels. I think you're going to start seeing some people who may have ran together in the past. You know, you did say it's their inaugural race, but I do think that we'll start seeing like teams of like 2 or 3 start tandeming together of people that may recognize each other from officials or from other leagues. So we don't have like set teams or set alliances, I don't believe.
We're hoping it'll be a good green flag run to start this race, as well as this field is going to work its way out of turn numbers 3 and 4 to the front straightaway. We're happy that you're joining us here for some amazing Monday night racing action here on Green Flag TV. The pace car pulls down and into pit road, into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is underway for the first time in the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series.
As they go side by side down the front stretch, going down into turn 1, we're 2x2 all the way through the field. Nobody making any crazy daring 3-wide moves just yet. It's a little bit too early for that, as they go still side by side all the way through 1 and 2.
No major moves being made as of right now. We work our way down onto the backstretch. Taylor Butcher Benjamin leading the way. Nickerson picks up the number 2 spot. Dalton Kilroe falling back from the top. We'll see if he can maybe reestablish that momentum from the high side. Once the speed picks up, already he's got momentum. He's already going to pull right up alongside Benjamin as we hightail into 3 and 4.
Yeah, now they're side by side for the lead. Both the MF Racing Designs cars up front started 1-2, running 1-2 right now, coming out of turn number 4. And we're still 2x2 throughout the entire pack. Nobody seems to be able to get some separation, but that outside line is lined up pretty good towards the front.
Dalton Kilroe able to pull clear for the lead. He'll try to chop down in front of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Not going to happen, though. And that's going to put it now into the fray of the likes of Tony Hilbrands up on the top shelf. The 92 Mustang running the top lane. Had to scramble a little bit to avoid running over the back of Kilroe as he tracked up across the line. Butcher, Benjamin, though, and Nickerson starting to pull away from this field, though, with that top 2 run down to the bottom.
Yeah, Hilbrand just keeps kind of ducking out to the right, kind of peeking around the 41. I don't know if he's quite looking for a move, but, you know, those top 3 cars on the outside are still stacked up pretty well, but they don't have any help from the 4th place runner on the outside. So I just don't know if they're going to be able to get a huge run onto the main pack, but I mean, they are side drafting pretty hard coming off at turn number 4 as we come across the stripe to finish lap number 2.
Yeah, no kidding. They're side drafting each other something fierce at the moment as we work our way back around a turn numbers 1 and 2. And I think it's been a very clean opening start to this race as well. Haven't seen anybody looking to make three-wide work. It's still been very much an organized field as it stands. We work to the back straightaway for lap number 3. 2 lanes, though, it's only going to get you so far. You can already see one driver fading towards the back. That's Mitch Diamond, way back at 29th. He's lost the draft. He's going to be losing the lap here in about 20 laps or so if he can't get some caution here to help him out.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused what happened to him. I don't know if he had some type of issue while he was in the pack or if this is just kind of a strategy play to make sure he stays out of the first wreck. He did see him racing really, really hard there for the opening 2 laps, but to fall off 8.5 seconds over 2 laps, that's quite a lot of time to lose really early in this race. So you might have something to miss onto that car, maybe got into the wall a little bit, but they're still side by side racing for the 3rd position.
Well, there's a bit of a check up near the back as they're getting up to speed, entering turn 3 on that opening lap. That caused them to kind of stack it up and lose the draft for result when nobody fell back to kind of help them to maintain that run. In the meantime, the top 28 all still remain line astern, all within the same battle pack. We're still looking at Hillbrands. You can check further down to the field, though. You got drivers like Austin McGill, Jason Greenwell, Jonathan Canfield, all still side by side for spots all the way up and down throughout the midfield. So far, nothing really to write home about yet. Nobody's made any aggressive moves. A lot of drivers, I think, are playing the long game as it stands.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right about that. A couple of cars that started on the outside have found a little bit of a home on the inside line, and that inside line is really just kind of dominating in sense of they have just way more cars in the outside line right now, and they're just able to kind of hold a 2-car length advantage because of how many cars they have lined up on the bottom side of the racetrack. Daytona is one of those tracks, though, where the outside line can work. You know, it's a little bit tighter around the corner than Talladega, so that inside line kind of gets, you know, a little bit of speed scrubbed off throughout the corners, and it can really, you know, permit for some big moves from the outside line. As we see the 41 car get a huge push down the backstretch. Looks like it might stall out through 3 and 4 as he doesn't have the help anymore, but he could get down to side draft that 10 car on the bottom.
Oh, he's still got some momentum working for him off that final corner as he'll fire it around to the front straightaway. We continue to try to make this happen, and Kilroe is going to be able to pull clear. Not quite, as Benjamin able to fight back down on that inside lane to work back to turn numbers 1 and 2. Still side by side for the race lead, and that's not looking to change anytime soon. At this point, it's all about strategy, right? 65% fuel tank limitations. We're expecting this to be about, I would say, a 3 or a 4 stopper race, probably roughly every kind of like high 20s, low 30 laps in that regard, depending obviously if we get any undue cautions that might affect that strategy. For now, though, I think all these drivers are just looking to get themselves through these first 25 and see where things lie.
Yeah, and Kilroe actually gets clear on the outside of turn number 4 here. We'll see if he jumps down to kind of take that bottom line with him. But, you know, the outside line has just kind of been dominating with the momentum the past lap and a half. I didn't think that they were going to have quite enough, you know, help towards the back of the pack to push that outside lane forward. But, you know, the inside line's coming back going down into turn 1 as they've gotten a good run through the trial. Yeah, I think Hillbrands was just a little bit tired of being the pusher this early. Oh, man, he just about gets, he gets put 3 wide just about on the inside. That's the 10 car looking back on the inside. Doesn't quite make it stick. 92 did a good job kind of covering his nose off, but that is going to kill a little bit of momentum from the inside line here. They might be able to recover, and, you know, they're definitely nose to tail right here, but that outside line, it's really impressive to see. You know, they got 2 cars clear there. That's more than you would expect at this point of the race with just how hard everybody's pushing. But the 41 car, Kilroe, I mean, he's doing a great job on that outside line, holding it nice and steady, getting good pushes from whoever's behind him. It was Hillbrands, now it's Olsen. So great job from that outside line, kind of finding some steam, and it looks like they have more cars lined up out there than they did a couple laps ago. Yeah, and if that top side's working, you definitely just don't want to leave it. I mean, I'm sure they're seeing in their mirror that they've got a long, long line of cars lined up behind them, giving them huge pushes down the back stretch, down the front stretch, out of these big sweeping corners from the outside line. I remember seeing back in the day, Dale Jr. would run really, really high sometimes to get a big run down the corner on the old Daytona. Now we've got it paved, so it's maybe not as serious to use, but, you know, with the outside line being able to keep the momentum, keep the throttle down the entire time, and just being able to push the guy in front of you and not have any worry about turning anybody, it just seems that they're able to push clear that bottom line really easily right now.
Tony Hilbrands has not been able to make a lot of progress, and I think that could be upsetting a few of these drivers down the inside line as they are impatient and trying to get things moving. You're right on board with the likes of Chicano at the moment, who runs that number 8 spot way up on the outside lines. So Alonso Chicano trying to, I think, just kind of ride around, see where everything's going to come out. I think he's got Ricky Hart Jr. pushing him from that top shelf. But going back to Benjamin on the bottom, he's got that 2 car as well, and Nickerson right behind. And I know Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he's not a driver that's very content to just kind of ride around for a little while. That said, though, he's not a very aggressive driver either, so he's the kind that'll take an opportunity when he sees it. He's not one to really go out and look for him, though.
Yeah, and if I'm Hilbrands, I might be a little frustrated because he dumped down to the inside looking like he was maybe going to make a pass for the lead on the backstretch a couple laps ago, but he's just kind of stalled out that bottom line. I don't know if he's not getting as good of a push as the third car was pushing Taylor Butcher Benjamin earlier, but Hilbrands just hasn't been able to have the same speed as Taylor was early in this run.
He has not been able to have that run at all, and I think it's the fact that Benjamin has not been so eager to push Hilbrands down for the bottom lane as well. You notice how he's been getting closer, but he's never been actually bouncing off that rear bumper for that 92 Ford Mustang, not like we saw the number 2 going up against with the 10 earlier on in this race. I wonder if that at all has had any part to play in this. Well, I say that now. That inside lane's got some speed, and now Hilbrands alongside with Kilroe for the lead as we cross start finish to lap number 12.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the inside line was just taking it a little easy. Maybe they're content with running just in the inside of the top 10 this early in the run. But, I mean, as I was, having that thought, Butcher Benjamin really got to the back bumper of Hilbrands, and he has absolutely pushed him clear of the lead. Just about exiting turn 2, actually. It looks like the 41 of Kilroe is going to be able to get back to his outside by the exit of the corner. And that outside line is pretty stacked up from 1st to 6th.
And that could, again, very well be impacting what we're seeing here with that outside lane. Now Benjamin looking to use the crow horn to try to push Hilbrands further towards the front, but Dalton Kilroe still works the top side. No end inside. The top 28 all still line is stern, and hello, I think that may have been that was the 25 of Alonso Chicano that got a bit close towards the outside wall there off of turn 4. That could have been bad. The top 3 now want to break away.
And anytime somebody gets out of line like that, you kind of have to hope that the guy behind you just lets you back in. Austin McGill probably did him a little bit of a favor there. He could have taken the line to the bottom there and taken a couple more people with him and just kind of moved that outside line down to the second line and start freight training the 25. But it looked like he may have just been a little bit, cautious this early in the run, making sure he doesn't start a stack up. And as I speak of a stack up, the inside line is stacked up all the way back to the 6th place position. I mean, they're just following way back to the back of the pack right now.
Yeah, no kidding. That was less than ideal when you try to get things sorted with the lines down to the bottom. You see the top 6, this wide shot, make that out the top 7 pulling clear from the outside lane. The inside has no momentum whatsoever as these racers hightail it high and wide through the trioval. We work back down towards turn numbers 1 and 2. I believe all the way back now to McGill and number 99. We've got pulled clear from the high shelf. That's something that these guys in the outside lane wants to see. It means they're not being slowed down nearly as much as that inside lane is. Interesting enough, this is a really, really big problem that the old Gen 6 cars had here before the move was made over to these Gen 7 cars. The fact that you couldn't really make moves, the outside was always the place to be. It didn't used to be that way in these cars, as we see Alonso Chicano jump down to now lead the inside line. I think that's really changed, though, in recent builds with all the updates that's been going on to the package as a whole. It's looking much reminiscent of a Gen 6 race nowadays, except, even the Gen 6 cars couldn't go double file like this.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you can just push a little bit more in these cars. So, like, even if the top lane is a little bit more dominant, if you get 2 cars that really know what they're doing in terms of pushing and the lead car dragging his brake just a little bit, you can really make hay on the bottom, even with not too much help. But, I mean, it's just about finding a home up top at some point. You got to find a hole. You got to side draft yourself into a hole somewhere just so that you can keep that momentum up. Make sure that you get the draft from the outside line. But right now, it looked like the 25 there of Chicano, he dumped to the inside, and then someone cut his nose off, the 85. just trying to make the inside line work as they got clear of the outside, or of their competitor Hillbrands there in the 92 car. They got clear, dumped down to the bottom, and they're actually making a little bit of hay up here into the 3rd position.
And that was Cody Welch that was starting to make some of that ground up here as we work our way back around in towards turn number 1 out of the tri-oval. Welch made that jump down to the inside lane every turn number 1 last time by. He and Chicano are linking up though, and now for the first time in a long while, the 85 going to pull clear as the outside lane lost all momentum all of a sudden. What in the world happened there?
Well, it looked like there was someone about 6th or 7th on the outside line that jumped down, and it kind of left a big hole there about 6 or 7 cars deep. And it just kind of killed the run from the top 5 of the outside line. And those 2 on the bottom really got hooked up. It looked like they were pushing, and you can see Chicano right here all over the back bumper of the 85 going into turn 3 as he pulls to the outside, and he's actually going for the lead out of turn number 4.
Trying to make that move for the race lead. This is on board with Mitch Diamond, that lap car I mentioned earlier. Thought it'd be about 20 laps before he lost touch with the leaders. It might be even sooner here as he is now going to be lapped in lap number 17. Chicano and Welch in a side-by-side battle for the lead. Where in the world does Diamond go in all this? He's going to go up the high side. That's going to put these guys 3 wide. That's going to get a bit risky here. And it looks like they'll be able to file their way by without too much incident. That would allow Welch to pull clear 1 car. Breakaway, look out! Trouble cars hard to the outside wall. We're wrecking it big time onto the back straightaway. And that's going to bring out yellow flag number 1.
My goodness, you hate to see that. I mean, they had cleared the lap car, so I'm kind of surprised to see what happened coming off at turn number 2. I'm really looking forward to seeing this replay because, I mean, the front runners got clear of the lap car, so I don't quite understand, kind of where this disorganization came from coming off the corner. But, I mean, it looked like Chicano got turned hard into the outside wall and then spun back across the inside and collected a bunch more in the back.
We're coming off of turn number 2. You can see right there, Chicano gets turned hard to the outside wall by, I believe it was Dalton Kilrow, and well, from there it was just a melee, and that sent everybody scrambling down and into the infield grass. A couple of drivers taking hefty whacks into the inside wall there.
Yeah, a couple front runners got collected in that. Austin McGill worked his way up from about the 15th place starting position up to about the top 5, and he got wiped out in that. A couple other contenders. Really tough to see coming off of turn number 2. I don't know if Kilrow was just offset a little bit too much to the left side of Chicano there coming off the corner, and they did have a little bit of a stack up with the lap cars. They got by them, so maybe it just killed the outsides run a little bit from the lead car. And then once the second place on the outside of Dalton Kilrow got to Chicano, it just looked like he was maybe a little offset. And as the banking changed, it just kind of turned I believe his number was 25 around into the inside car. I couldn't quite tell who he hit, and then back up to the outside wall.
So we got drivers now working their way down and into pit road, and it'll be Cody Welch to lead the grouping in as everybody's going to be filing in now, I'd imagine, for pit service. I mean, we were getting a bit close to the point where you have to come down anyway, right? So it makes sense that you'd come down under this first yellow flag here, get yourself some of those good old, I would say get a set of tires while you're at it. You don't waste too much time under the yellow flag. You're getting fresh tires. You got some sets to burn. Definitely, though, a full tank of fuel. And hello, fuel only for Cody Welch.
Yeah, it's not too surprising. I feel like there's really just not much tire wear on this kind of racetrack. Atlanta's kind of a different story with the tighter corners, and you really have to let off the gas a lot. But at Daytona, it doesn't necessarily mean a lot. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of people, we do see some 15-second, 14-second pit stops, taking those 4 tires and fuel just to make sure that their car's running as good as possible. Maybe a couple of these guys were having some handling issues, and they just needed to put on the tires to kind of minimize the disruptions from the old tires there.
And throughout all of that, Richard Holland, I do not believe, pitted at all. Well, he did pit. He came down in the pit row, but he missed his box. So he is going to be forced to have to come around now. As a result of that, I'm going to go back down and into the lane. It's not ideal for the Goodwrench 31 Chevy Camaro, as we'll see if he actually comes back down pit road here, or if he's going to opt to stay out. Maybe hope there's a secondary yellow so he can come on down and not put himself right at the tail end of the field.
I feel like it would just be way too big of a risk to stay out at this point, though. I mean, they have maybe 10 laps of fuel left if you didn't take any fuel there, so I definitely wouldn't do it. I think that would be a big mistake. Heck, I don't even think it's 10 laps of fuel. They might get to lap like 26, 27 before they run out of gas, so I think it would be a big mistake of him not to come back down pit road at this time.
I'd agree with you on that one. So we'll, especially since we saw how long the green flag went last time. If it goes the long way like it did this last time by, he's not going to be able to get a to get the chance to get to pit here with a caution before we get our next yellow flag on the race. So he is going to come back down pit road, and we are going to still be under this yellow flag number 1. Is it going to be lights out this time by? I think it would be. The cautions are typically pretty quick. Dalton Kilrow also in for another run of pit stops here under this yellow flag, as is Foster. Ethan Fonseca Moreno is also in. Curtis Yancey is in. Paulson and Diamond are also in the pit road. We are lights out. We're 1 to green. We'll go green with 80 laps to go.
Yeah, I don't necessarily blame them for making that mistake coming down pit road the first time. That's their first time trying to find their box. I mean, it is by by qualifying speed, so you should know roughly where it's at. But I mean, the pit road was absolutely packed. Every car except for 1 or 2 were on the lead lap, so 27 cars were coming down, getting their tires, getting their fuel. So it's pretty easy to miss your pit box on the first way through. But it is a long race, so he's got plenty of time to catch back up. I mean, he's got 80 laps. That's the entire length of the summer NIS race. So I definitely think he's got plenty of time to work his way back up to the front of the field.
Alonso Chicano is behind the wall, so I believe he is going to be our first official retirement of this race. Also seen Brian Dees on the racetrack. He is still on the lead lap, and critically as well, we saw Mitch Diamond get back on the lead lap with the lucky dog free pass of that one as well. So Diamond will now have that second chance to reset and try to see if he can't get himself further up now in the running order. Now that he's back on the lead lap, I would recommend trying not to lose the draft this time around for restart number 2.
Yeah, that would probably be a little bit more beneficial than the start of his race. I mean, to fall off 10 seconds in the first 2 laps, I mean, that's massive. I'm a little concerned with him if he can actually hold on to the draft this time. But honestly, he did a good job missing that wreck too, given the fact that he had just gotten lapped. If he would have gotten even a touch in that wreck, he wouldn't have gotten his lap back. So good job from him missing that wreck after the field crashed in front of him.
Well, things not looking so hot on our internal clock. It must be looking under the weather here on the overlay here in this thing stand. It is, I can tell you right now, it's not midnight in Sim. It's way too bright out to be midnight in Sim as it stands. But we are racing into the evening, and we're expecting that the lights will be flicking on well before we get to the end of this race. So pace cars down and in. We'll see if we'll get those lights on before we get around to the halfway point. It'll be a little ways after. Green flag back up and in the air. Cody Welch trying to hightail it away. Nick Nickerson restarting the high side behind. Benjamin will push the number 2 car, while you've got Tony Hilbrandt working the top.
Kind of interesting to see the front 2 rows just really separated from the bottom or from the back of the pack, a little bit heavy on that restart. So it's going to allow the outside line to get a big run here. They didn't quite get stacked up as good as they could have. Hilbrandt's kind of throws a little bit of a block to the outside, making sure that he doesn't get split 3 wide there in the middle. And that's really detrimental. If you get thrown into the middle 3 wide, you're just going nowhere. But Nickerson's getting a really good push from Hilbrandt's here going into turn number 3.
That shove down the super stretch. It can definitely make or break a race. We got 3 wide, deeper in the pack. The 0-2 of Bridger Olsen caught in the sucker hole. That's the worst place you could be at a super speedway like this. Not so much because you got nobody helping you, but because there's no room to navigate. So you got to really rely on that not only you are keeping a straight line, but that the guys to the left and right if you're keeping a straight line. It looks like he'll fade to the rear without any issues. I think he'll have to tuck him with the outside lane here. He's not making it easy for himself. I would have honestly lifted off the gas and tucked in between the 97 and the 84 there.
Yeah, he had a hole, but he chose to sidetrack the outside line there. I couldn't tell who that was that just got crazy loose off of turn number 2, but Benjamin. My goodness. God bless, he was so loose coming off of the corner, and the outside Nickerson, he actually pulls down to the bottom. I think he saw that in his mirror and decided, maybe this outside line isn't for me yet. They're just a little bit further back. They're going to have to build a run for Nickerson to think about going back up there. But he actually takes the lead back on the bottom of the racetrack, right in front of Hilbrandt's.
Ricky Hart Jr. now going to give the shove to Benjamin up on the top side. 4-car breakaway down to the bottom. Nickerson from Hilbrandt's, from Welch, from Canfield, all working the inside line. And now Hilbrandt's will jump to the high side. So Tony Hilbrandt's not looking to make a whole lot of friends out here. He's abandoning the lines left, right, and center. The problem is, whenever you make those lane switches, you stack up whatever lane you're in instead of getting the big push from them if you can't time it right. And you take a look at the stack on the outside. Hilbrandt's made a move that he thought might get him up a few spots. He instead has lost 6.
Yeah, he just timed that really, really poorly. I don't quite know why he jumped up when he did. He got to the outside and side drafted the leader, but he had no help coming. That outside line had no pull, no push. So I just don't really know what he was thinking going to the outside right there. I mean, he's leading the outside line now, and they definitely could get back up to the lead, but he could have held on to that second place position and waited for the outside line to actually get a run to match his run on the leader. And that would have been a better time to pull up as he gets the number 27 car there. of Wareham. He kind of pulls up into the outside line so that he can take the lead of it. And we're going to see if that outside line can kind of make some hay here. They're side by side for about the 7th position, but they just don't quite have the numbers right now compared to the inside.
We're starting to see a lot of drivers fading off of that at the back of this pack as well. Sean Britt is leading about a group of 4 here further down to the field. Half a second back from Danny Guy. Richard Holland started to drop back a bit. 3 seconds behind them, you've got Derek Pulse and Moreno as well as Diamond that have all lost the draft at the back as well. But critically, they still have their groups, right? Which means that they can still work and draft together and not lose nearly as much time to the leaders as if they were running solo. So they're losing time, yes. They still need a caution, yes. But at least this way, they're not at risk of going a lap down within the next 10, 15 laps or so.
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, they're not going to go a lap down by the time that they have to pit again, so they could maybe get back on cycle with the leaders at some point. And we've seen with the Atlanta Motor Speedway, but I mean, it's basically a super speedway now. You know, the pit cycle is very, very dangerous. There's more room here at Daytona to get away with it, but I could definitely still see some cautions get caused on green flag pit stops.
Well, you say that. I mean, I would still call Daytona one of the most dangerous pit roads, just shy of Talladega and Atlanta. I'd put it number 3 on the list. You'd think getting on the pit road here would be easy, right? It's a straight shot. You just point the car to pit entry, hit the brakes, get down 55 miles an hour. But not only are you trying to slow down from almost 200 miles an hour down to 55 in only a matter of seconds, you're trying to also avoid the 10, 15 cars around you that are trying to do the exact same thing at the exact same time. It's not getting to the pit road that's difficult. It's getting to pit road around everybody else that's the hard part.
Yeah, and as you're mentioning that, Hilbrands gets shuffled to the outside. I don't know if he made the move or if he got shuffled, but he is not content with riding behind anybody. But as you were talking about with the green flag pit cycle, another problem with that is, if there is an accident, typically it's off the racing surface and you won't get a caution. So it's really risky to get to pit road because if you do get turned sideways going towards the inside wall, even if you don't hit it, you're not going to get the caution to get back up with the field, and you have absolutely lost the draft at that point. So you're just going to go backwards. So it's definitely it's not the most difficult thing in the world to do it by yourself, but whenever you've got a pack of 20 cars with you, I mean, it is a difficult ask of all of these drivers.
Yeah, no kidding. So we will we'll make sure to keep that in mind when we get up and around to the end of the pit cycle here. You can see the top 5 pulling away as a result of all that 3 wide and side-by-side battle, and everybody is starting to fade back a bit in the secondary train. It's not ideal for a lot of the guys at the back here. You can see they're still working with it. They're doing a good job on trying to just get themselves sorted and keep that momentum moving up at the top. Now it's about an 8-car breakaway. Sorry, make that 9. He's got everybody from 1st and 9th up in this leading pack, and then 10th on back. They're the ones that are starting to drop.
Yeah, if I'm Hilbrands and Butcher here or anybody behind him, I would be worried seeing that big of a gap right there. It looks like Hilbrands going to get a good run off the top, and he's going to get the draft of the top cars. But if they had fallen another 2 or 3 tenths back from that point with them side by side and most of the leaders single file, they would have just about lost the draft right there. These cars have so much drag. As soon as you get side drafted, you're both slowing down in this vehicle. In the Gen 6, it wasn't necessarily as heavy. Oh, man, big checkup on the inside line. Oh, and they're crashing. That's Benjamin on the inside going around. He comes back across the racetrack and collects another contender. Oh, my goodness. I can't tell if the caution's out or not.
Caution is going to be out as we got 1 car sideways, and that's going to be Sean Britt, who has spun it down to the inside line, and the number 98 scored as the 98, 55 on the car. He spun to the inside. Taylor Butcher Benjamin got tipped around on a big checkup coming around through turn numbers 3 and 4. We don't actually have the yellow flag out yet. We are still green flag racing, interestingly enough, and I thought that would have been a yellow flag, but no, we're going to keep this one rolling.
Yeah, most of the guys stayed straight, and I think there were 2 people that actually spun off the racetrack, and I guess it just didn't warrant a caution, but that has completely split us into multiple packs here, and our top 15 are just going to pull away from the rest of the field. Very unfortunate for Benjamin there. I was saying, if they were a couple tenths further back, they might have lost the pack, but, at this point, he might have wished that they were a little bit further back because he was the main, not culprit, but he was the main victim of that big checkup there, and him and a couple other drivers have just absolutely gone to the back. The 98 of Britt, the 99 of McGill, the 41 of Kilrow, all 10 seconds plus off the lead pack.
Taylor Butcher Benjamin, you see him now running down to 27th place. How the mighty have fallen. Same story for Sean Britt, who is now good half a lap behind the race leaders and with absolutely no drafting help. Now we really have the pack separations. You got this big cluster here running from about 19th on back to the 26th position. You got a couple of guys running with 2-car groups a bit further back towards the midfield, and then this is obviously the big main one running first all the way to 15. So you got the top half of the field still tucked in line astern, and everybody else is the ones that have started to drop back. That, in a way, could mean it'll be harder for a car to come about to save Benjamin and Britt now.
Yeah, with the pack splitting up, you're just not going to see as many people racing. I mean, they're still side by side up in the lead pack, which could slow them down a little bit. So if everybody from 18th on back could get into a single file line instead of racing each other, they absolutely could run down the lead pack at some point if they stay too wide. But I mean, as we're looking at the timesheets right here, 18th, it's just kind of steady at 9 seconds. They lose a little bit, and then they gain a little bit. And that's because they're still side by side a little bit. They finally single filed out a bit, but there's still one car kind of straggling on the outside. They just all need to get lined up, nose to tail, catch these other two cars, get them engulfed into the pack, and just try to put their best foot forward and make sure they stay in a straight single file line and hope and pray that the leaders stay side by side.
Well, I mean, they can wish and pray all they want, but at the end of the day, I still think they would need a caution to close up to these guys because they are going to be closing by, a couple tenths a lap. Yes, if the leaders stay side by side, but you have to remember they're 9 seconds back. A couple tenths a lap, that is a long way to go, and I don't think closing at a couple tenths a lap, it would be at least lap 80, 50 laps from now by the time they are able to get up there. And this is now, oh, hello, the 16 to Canfield. Down onto the apron after he got punted by the 83 of Jason Greenwell, and that nearly was the caution they were all hoping for.
Yeah, but something like that can really stack up that front pack. Even though a caution doesn't come out, that does kind of allow that second pack to cut into that lead a little bit more than they were. They've now cut it down to about 8.4 seconds. But again, if you can look back in the back of your screen right there, you saw they were not quite single file. Those two cars they engulfed, they're still got a 2-car pack on the outside. They really just need them to get into line and just push the back of this pack because they are making just a little bit of ground up. If they can keep doing that lap after lap while the leaders are side by side, making little bumping mistakes going into the corners, then they could absolutely close that gap. But as soon as I say that, 16th is now 2 tenths further back than what they were just a handful of seconds ago.
And that's exactly the thing, right? I mean, it would take so long still, and we're having to remember as well, they're going to be through a couple of pit stop cycles if they're closed by a couple tenths a lap, and by that point, everybody's going to be split apart and running about relatively the same speeds. You're going to be hard-pressed to try to close such a gap in, but the possibility you mentioned is always there. And obviously, a yellow flag coming out would, I think, be ideal for everybody in this field right about now. As we'll keep things working. We're about 1/3 of the way through the Spence Media Co. 250 HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series from Daytona International Speedway. The number 2 Nickerson still leads the way from Welch from Canfield. They round out the top 3. This leading pack started this single file out a bit more as well. You only have about 4 or 5 now working the top lane.
Yeah, and that's the danger for the backpack. I mean, if they're not side by side for just about the lead, it's just not going to slow down the pack enough because the draft from the 3 or 4 lead cars that are clear are just going to be able to pull the rest of the pack up towards the front and just keep that momentum going. They really need to be side by side for first, second, or third to kind of have a detriment to that second pack, especially because they do have more cars in the second pack. So, there's a big wreck in the second pack.
One car hard
into the outside wall.
Believe that to be Austin McGill. It is Austin McGill spinning to the inside. Caution is out. So now the yellow flag will fly, and that's the caution they were hoping for on lap number 34.
Everybody in the second pack was hoping for that except for Austin McGill. He got turned hard into the outside wall. That is just so sad to see his race kind of ruined like that. He's been involved in both incidences so far.
Well, you want to find yourself with a caution. You never want to be the cause of it, as the field will catch up to the tail end of the Irising pace car. We'll let this pit run cycle through because I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting to pit fuel cycle here before too long. You know who this really helps out? Sean Britt. He's entering turn number 3. That is how close he was to being lapped there because of how far back he was. This is a race saver for Britt.
Yeah, no kidding. And a lot of the guys get a little bit of a chance to get a damage repair going because I do think a lot of guys got damaged in that little accident that didn't cause a caution, and then obviously the 2 or 3 drivers that were involved in the big one right there. A lot of guys are going to need to get all the damage fixed, but with this next gen car, as long as you don't have engine damage, right, you can fix all the damage and really not be at much of an aero deficit. So at a track like Daytona, I definitely could see some of those guys getting back up here as long as their engine didn't get popped a little bit.
Pace car will work the front straightaway, and we will see who's going to come down to pit road, if anybody's going to come down to pit road. Predictably, here comes the field. Oh, a couple of drivers staying out. EJ Luna thought about it. opted to come down to the last second and decided, well, maybe not such a good idea to stay out.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that would have been a good idea. I mean, every time, especially with the 65% fuel load, you really just need to pack this thing full of fuel every time you get an opportunity, because it's really about pitting with the leaders. You got to make sure that you have the most gas in the tank, and also, you know, if you come down during caution and pack it up whenever everybody else doesn't, like say we have a 5 or 10 lap green flag run and maybe some people don't pit, having that little bit of extra fuel can save you time on pit road. You know, you'll have about a second or two less of time stopped in the box, which could absolutely help you leapfrog a couple people. So I think the smart play is coming down pit road every single time you get the opportunity under caution.
A lot of cars only taking fuel only. Welch, Greenwell took 4 tires, so did Luna, Hilbrands, Lacey, and Yancey. Just about everybody else only taking fuel, not even bothering with tires. We'll take a look back. We'll see what puts us under yellow flag number 2 here. So working our way through turn number 2 here. Walk us through it, Austin.
Well, Austin McGill's on the bottom, and he just kind of he just about gets clear to the 86 there, but the 86 just kind of comes down and gets his right rear. I mean, Austin McGill's all the way on the bottom of the racetrack. He's got nowhere else he can go, and the 86, I can't quite tell who that was, but
would have been Paul Wilson that got into him, as we will find ourselves under caution flag number 2 here. We're going to take a quick step back. You're watching the HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series live on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series. We're working our way through turn numbers 3 and 4. Lights are out. We're 1 to green. That's Pace Car going to pull down into the pit road. If you're just joining us, this is caution flag number 2. We're coming to a close here. My name is Ola Rembo with Austin Edstrom beside me in the broadcast booth. It's been an interesting race so far, and the cautions started to mount. We've had 2 now in the last 15 laps. We'll see if that number increases. Green flag is back in the air.
Bottom lane gets a really good jump here. Looks like they're going to be lined up pretty solid. I mean, the outside line's a little bit more stacked up. You see the front 3 on the bottom just kind of get a little bit spread out from the guys in the back. Oh, somebody from the outside. That's third car in the outside line. Jumps down to the bottom. Makes it a 4-car train down on the bottom. And the outside line's just going to kind of have no momentum built up here. But they might get a good run off with how good the 34 is pushing the 16 up top.
Yeah, the 34 car of Thorpe Jr. is doing a great job there on pushing Jonathan Canfield up towards the front of this race. Saw a lot of the field come on down under that latest yellow flags. Provided this goes green, expect them to pit just shy between laps 58 and 68 as we work our way back around the turn numbers 3 and 4. Austin McGill will find his way to pit road after not able to get a lot of the damage fixed on the Amsoil 99 Mustang, so he'll find his way to the tail end while Nickerson leads the first lap back through.
Yeah, the 85 of Welch there, he started on the outside line, was able to find a hole in about 4th on the inside, and then cleared the 2 cars that were in front of him on the restart from the outside and jumped back up in front of him and was able to get side by side with 2nd place. That was a hell of a move here on the restart for him to actually get to the lead of the outside line. We're going to see if that outside line can carry the momentum down the backstretch as he's side by side for 3rd place.
The lights have flicked on over the Daytona International Speedway. Bit of a wobble there from Bridger Olson the last time by down the backstretch, being pushed by Ricky Hart Jr. And up on the top side, you've still got now Canfield falling back. Sorry, make that Welch falling back. Well, how about Zachary Wareham as well as David Leakey? We haven't talked about them too much about this race. They're both plus 18 and plus 14 on the day. Some of the most points gained out of anybody in this field.
Yeah, it's an impressive performance here on the Super Speedway. It's really hard to pass at this kind of track. You know, they've done a good job just kind of keeping it 2x2 the entire race. Nobody's been making any crazy daring moves just yet. We're still in the lap 40 out of 100, so no reason to push it just yet. But for them to be able to make up ground like that, oh man, somebody gets sideways for 4th place there. That was Wareham in the 27. He gets sideways coming off turn number 2. I don't know if he was tugging the wheel just a little bit too much coming off the corner, but he keeps it straight, no harm, no foul, and everybody's all right after that one.
So Nickerson will continue to lead the way up in front. You got the number 9 here now with David Leakey, looking to be working that 5th place. Whoa, hello! That was a huge moment for Benjamin Lacey in that number 7 Mustang. Bobbling from the top after he almost got dumped by Welsh, crossing laps 40 to 41. Now with 60 laps to go. And up to the top shelf, look down, the 9 is into the outside wall. Leakey scrapes the wall, he tried to make an aggressive lane change. It went too far.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had the move right. Like, he made a really good call there to get to the outside. It looked like they were going to get some momentum, but just looked like he turned it just a little bit too hard to the right and wasn't able to correct it. 2 cars from the outside go dump down into the inside line, and that outside line is really fragmented now, and it just kind of looks like that the inside line is just going to kind of pull away from the couple of drivers that are still, like, straggling up on the top side.
I mean, in general, you can see how much this field has been discombobulated now because of all of that, especially further towards the back portion of this field, still trying to get themselves sorted, and it looks like they'll finally be able to do so as we'll work around the run straightaway. We'll get our composure settled back down, and we'll again settle in for the long haul. Again, though, inside lane, it's the place to be. A lot of racers have been finding some speed down at the bottom there. You had a lot of drivers up on that top shelf making moves in the first run, but ever since the sun started to really go down, it hasn't really gone the way of the outside lane. Now it's Zachary Wareham to be caught in the sucker hole.
Well, and as soon as you say that, the outside line's definitely kind of making some hay here. I mean, the 27 just kind of made a bad move. It looked like he was going to try to peek out to the outside line, but he just didn't really have the run to go with him. So they split him 3 wide, sent him into the sucker hole, and he falls back a handful of positions. But I'm really interested on the couple of these restarts. You know, we saw earlier that outside line just kind of dominated, and we saw them start pulling away towards the end of one of the runs where the outside line was far and away the most dominant. But on a couple of these restarts, the inside line has kind of been proving itself to be the place to be early. And then as soon as the outside line gets fragmented, a couple people decide to jump up there and give it another big run and a big push to the front as they're side by side for about 6th place. But the outside line is a whole lot more organized than the bottom. And as soon as I say that, they'd get a little squirrely off of the corner. That's the 85 falling heavy through the field. Welch all the way to the back of the pack. I mean, I don't quite know exactly who made the big move there coming off the corner, but wow, I was just talking about the outside line being hooked up really well, and it looks like the
He's got a
85
problem.
Welch has a big problem.
That car's not even running, so I think possibly a blown motor for the number 85 cars. He's going to find his way all the way down to the inside of the racetrack, and well, the engine's not smoking, but remember, a lot of these guys, they have to keep an eye on those engine temps. It's pretty easy to overheat them if you're running the heat of the moment and not paying attention. I think that may have been what happened here to Welch, one of the pusher cars, as he's going to file to pit road, and nothing underneath that 85 car.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a little surprising, though, with the Gen 7s. I mean, you can't put any tape on it, and typically, I don't know, typically it's not very easy to overheat it. I mean, yeah, if you push really, really hard, you can definitely do it, but I feel like it's easier in these cars to keep your engine tips cool, make sure you don't blow the engine just with there not being so much tape on the front of these cars. But I don't know, I guess he just made a big mistake there and caused that big stack up from the outside line.
I don't know if you saw any smoke, but another possibility, maybe he didn't take any fuel on that last stop and ran out. Although that wouldn't make any sense either because he had an 8-second stop in the box.
I mean, 8 seconds is what? Yeah, that's. I mean, maybe he took 2 tires and just forgot to check the fuel. I really don't know. That's a strange one. I just wouldn't expect somebody to blow their engine this early in the race. There's not really any reason to be pushing that hard, and it wasn't too many laps after the restart. But we've got the 28 of Hart challenging Nickerson on the outside. I mean, the outside line, they fragmented after that incident, and now they're back pushing nose to tail everybody. Oh, big stack up on the outside. That's going to cost them a couple spots there, but they're probably just going to get they're still probably going to get a good run coming off these corners and be able to challenge back for the lead here pretty soon.
That got a bit dicey there for a moment. The 51 of Yancey having to kind of scramble a little bit as he almost ended up turning the 28. Now he's going to go to the middle line, try to make it 3 wide up the middle. So Curtis Yancey not making any friends at the moment. The 28 going to fall to the back while the 86 will bounce off the apron down from that inside line.
It's one of those things, if you're the car on the outside, you know, you could just get dumped by the guys behind you, not turned or anything, but dumped out of the main line and just go straight back to the back of the pack. If you make one little mistake, maybe the maybe the 85 or I think it was Yancey actually in the 51. Maybe he just thought maybe the 28 made a little bit of mistake coming out of that corner, and he didn't want to be behind somebody that was maybe a little mistake prone right then, especially this early in the race. So he shuffled him out of the main pack, and he's going to fall all the way back to the end of this main pack.
There, bottom of the screen, Austin McGill working his way out of pit road, was in the box for 6 minutes, but he's going to find his way back onto the racetrack. And I believe he's looking to try to get out there, hope for another yellow flag. Maybe he's trying to limit themselves if he scores some extra points here. May as well. You're not even halfway. It's been a long race. It's not been one that's gone by quickly, and I think a lot of the factor that has to be with those 2 cautions, right? I mean, 1 yellow flag takes a 47-second lap all the way up to 2-3 minutes plus. It really adds on in a big way when you could have done about almost 10 laps in the span it takes to do 4.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just extends the race a little bit, but we are starting to see it kind of single file out a little bit up here towards the front. I mean, we still have people kind of darting out, making little moves. I don't think anybody's really content with running where they're at, but we have kind of seen it single file out. They're not side by side anywhere except for about 10th place now on the racetrack. So I'm interested to see if maybe these guys are seeing a couple incidents, a couple mistakes made from other people with hard pushes as Nickerson goes below the yellow line right there coming off of turn number 2. Oh man, big squirrely moment in the back. They're 4 wide. Somebody's through the grass down towards the bus stop of the road course. My goodness, I was talking about people being a little bit more cautious. Somebody's in the wall up front. I mean, just people are making mistakes everywhere.
That would have been the 9 of Leakey that went into the inside wall, and he's almost run over from behind by the 65 of Mitch Diamond, and I believe it was Connor Gibson that we saw get into the outside wall coming around through turn number 4. And that's now going to single file out the entire front pack, and that's not good news for this group of 6 behind. Well, might be some good news. A lot of this pack's now strung out. They can cling on to the draft here, courtesy of that number 69 of Gibson, and try to work their way to the front.
Yeah, they kind of caught that at a bad time. If they had been single filed out already, they might have been able to catch this main pack, but they were fighting too wide for, 22nd position for really no reason, and it kind of cost them a chance to get back into the main pack right there. I don't really know what they were thinking being that far back, racing that hard. If they had been single file, I really think that they could have capitalized and been able to leech onto the back of this main pack, but it doesn't look like it's going to actually happen.
Well, everybody now running nose to tail here, save for this little grouping here. This is secondary pack now. You got 3 packs. You got the primary, the secondary, then the tertiary. This is the secondary one. Headed up by Kevin Foster, and it runs all the way back to Sean Britt. It's got about a group of 6 in it. And the 97 in this one of Hagee trapped on the outside line. His number 7 Chevy Camaro. And you see Sean Britt right there at the back end of the 55. Going to allow the 97 to get in. He'll try to give him a bump to get him back up with the rest of this group before he can lose the lead draft and fall all the way back to 19th.
Yeah, this second pack really just needs to push. I mean, the front pack is, yeah, they're single file, but especially the back half of them are just kind of separated off the main front of the main pack just a little bit too much. Oh, man! The leader of the second pack, that's Foster, goes down pit lane really quick, or at least it popped up pit lane on the timing chart, but he got turned coming off at turn number 4, and that actually is going to cost the second pack their chance at catching the lead. I mean, just whenever we think that the second pack's going to be able to catch back up to them, they make a mistake. There's just so many mistakes coming out throughout the field. I mean, if these guys could just be a little bit, I don't know, mind their P's and Q's just a little bit more, they would probably be still in the main pack, but that cost them another second whenever it looked like they were going to gain.
And the fact that we saw the number 8 pop up as if he's entering pit road really shows just how long or how far down he was turned, because that only pops up when SDK anticipates that somebody's going to be hitting pit road, which typically shows up about a second or so when they actually hit pit road. That's how close that was. Meanwhile, here we go. Big fight for the lead now as Lacey works to the top. Nickerson down on the bottom. The pushers, as it stands, are Brian Dees and Tony Hilbrands. Sorry, you got Olsen as well, a pusher down to that bottom lane. Again, the inside line, though, not making a lot of progress. The outside now starting to pull clear.
Yeah, and as they get side by side, that could definitely bring the second pack back into it after they made that mistake, but I don't know if that's really going to happen. It just looks like that outside line has so much momentum on this front pack. The leaders from the bottom, the previous leaders, have already fallen back side by side for 4th. You know, it just depends on whether these guys get single filed out or not, but it just looks like they're content with racing, even though we're only at the halfway point of this mark, and they've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the pack. They do not care. They want the lead more than anything, and they're just racing hard all day long.
You think any of these guys are thinking about pit strategy right now, about how you want to get to the end?
I definitely think they could be. I think my big question right now is, can they make it on one stop? You know, I think they pitted around what, like lap 40? Was it lap 40 that they pitted?
35.
Oh, yeah, they definitely need to pit 2 more times then, I believe. Yeah. So maybe they're not thinking about pit strategy too much. Maybe they're thinking, okay, the first time we come down, we only take rights and we put it full of fuel. And then the second time we come down, maybe no tires and just a splash of gas to make it to the finish. But I mean, other than that, I think that's probably the only pit strategy they're thinking about. But even with them side by side right here, they're actually pulling a gap to the second pack a little bit.
See the 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. starting to drop back a bit here deeper in the field. The 7 of Lacey still going with them. The 86 and the 51 down the inside lane. Wilson and Yancey. They're having a bit of trouble trying to break clear. Whoa, you saw the 7 there of Lacey trying to jump down to the bottom, and Thorpe tried to follow. So by the time he tried to move down, the 7 had already filled the hole. He's going to drop right to the tail of this field. Good job, though, to tuck in line the second he was clear, so he didn't lose any time. Yeah,
that was a very smart move, and now that the single file, or the main pack is single file, we actually look back to the second pack. They're racing hard. They don't even care. I mean, this is, I don't know, this is kind of mind-numbing in my opinion. They really need to get single filed out and just run down the leaders. I mean, they have, I don't know, 10 more, I think it's about 6 more cars in the lead pack, but they're racing so hard, and they just don't care about the lead pack, it seems. I mean, I wouldn't be running for 10th place very hard if I knew that I couldn't get up to first. So if I were these guys, I would just be thinking, we need to get single file. Come on, guys. I would get on the voice chat, be like, come on, guys, single file, single file. Right now, we're losing too much time with this double file madness, but it just doesn't seem like that's happening. I mean, they're just so content with racing hard for whatever position they can, and they're just not really thinking big picture at this point.
I wonder if it's a fact that nobody wants to lead this pack. Because if you're leading the field, you're finding yourself in the huge problem that is the fact that you're burning more fuel than everybody else. You're going to have to pit sooner than everybody else. It's not ideal when you're trying to go and run down the race leaders, is it? If you're the one that has to be trying to save fuel so you can capitalize right at the end. So it could be a case of drivers trying to shuffle their way in and out of line, but trying not to lose as much time at the same time, while others are, I think, trying to think towards the end of this race and put themselves further towards the front of the train. They don't have as much work to do in the last 20.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good shout. I definitely think it's detrimental to lead right here, especially if we're thinking about a fuel mileage style of race where you want to spend as little amount of time in the box as possible, take as little amount of fuel as possible. But I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you're not going to have a race for the win. I mean, whether you finish 10th or finish 25th, it's the season opener at Daytona. Who cares where you finish unless it's first place? So I would just be doing whatever I could to be getting single file so that I have at least a chance to get up with the lead pack, especially because you're going to have such a run coming on the lead pack if you can have that kind of have that speed overlap and be able to run them down. So I just really think that these guys don't really need to worry about fuel mileage. They just need to worry about cutting that gap because, I mean, like I said, who cares if you finish 10th or 25th? I'd be gunning for the lead.
Well, exactly. It's Daytona. You want to go for the lead at a track like this. You want to be able to win at a track that is as prestigious as this one here. That's why so many of these races, I think, are fighting as hard as they are. They're not thinking too long-term as it stands. They're just trying to get themselves sorted for later on in the race as the night goes along. But so far, we're seeing not a lot of moving around from the leading pack here. They're kind of running nose to tail as it stands. You mentioned before all of that battling going on, even towards the tail end of this secondary pack. See Sean Brick caught up in the mix. You got the Coors Light number 12 of Cody Williams, now the lone car that's running the top lane. Everybody else is single file. I think at this point, this is where we can expect for things to be for the next several laps till we get down in the round of pit stops in about the next 10 laps or so.
Yeah, I think you could definitely be right. And, we were talking about green flag pit stops earlier. That could shake up everything. So if I'm the second pack, I just want to be as close as I possibly can to the lead pack because you never know if you're going to be able to pick up one of the stragglers from the lead pack that maybe has a bad pit stop or has a really big issue entering pit road. So if I'm these guys, I'm just thinking, okay, let's minimize the damage. If we can get to this green flag pit stop, you can make a lot of time in the braking zone, especially if you're at the front of this pack. And you could kind of flip the fuel strategy a little bit. I don't know, maybe a couple of them get on the mic and say, hey, let's do the short fueling this time around so that we can get at least back up to the main pack. And the main thing is for these guys, if they can't run down the main pack, what they need to do, towards the end of the race is get as many people in this pack as possible and then start racing. At Atlanta, I remember in the NIS, a big thing that I would do strategically if I lost the main pack and I knew that we weren't going to get back up to them was I would intentionally start racing so that hopefully somebody else in the pack would crash so that a caution would come out. It's kind of a I don't know, a selfish strategy, but at the end of the day, you're racing for yourself. So it's definitely not the worst idea, but at this point, the single file line is the way to go. It's just about minimizing the damage.
See two of the big red cars looking to work together here on that top side, and that's going to be Taylor Benjamin to go up and go with them, making it now a 4-car crusade. Up for that high shelf, trying to lead the way. Connor Gibson came down pit road just earlier this lap. That might kick off pit stop cycles here for the next little while. Meanwhile, Benjamin making ground, but again, this is slowing all of them down. It's worth noting, though, that even before they got fully single file like that, they had still gone from 4 to 5 seconds back, so I just don't think they were as organized as the pack up in the front, as even if they are single file, maybe these four on the outside think they'll be able to make more of a charge than the guys at the bottom can.
Yeah, at the end of the day, even if you have more cars than the other pack, if you're still losing time, it just means that the guys from first, second, third to fourth of your pack are not doing a good job. So if you've got more cars and you're losing time to the lead pack, it's because the guy in second is not doing his job of pushing the leader. It's because the leader is not doing his job of dragging the brake just a little bit to make sure they stay connected. And the third place car just wasn't keeping the bubble up enough for the front two of the second pack. And it leads to a big detriment. So then you see people get impatient towards the back of the pack saying, come on now, y'all are being bad leading this pack. Y'all aren't doing what you need to do to actually be able to gain time. And now that they've gotten side by side, they've kind of stopped losing a lot of time. I mean, maybe a tenth or two here, but they were losing a lot more whenever they were single file. And I think that's probably a testament to how bad maybe the front three cars of the single file line were pushing each other.
40 laps, make it 39 left to go by the time we get back around to start finish. Got about half now. This second pack working the top. Still have it all single file up towards the front of that in the front pack there. So we'll keep eyes down on this one that's further down the running order as we work out of the tri-oval and back down the front straightaway in towards turn number 1. It's been, I think, a very tame race as far as Daytona standards go. There's been a lot of very wild Daytona races in the last little while on Green Flag TV. Memory serves me right, would have to be the TNGG IAL Truck Series. When they came here, they had about 8 cautions or so, had a monumental crash across the start-finish line. The OMSRL Xfinity Series had a wild ride here that saw one of the most excited finishes in that series' history as well. In comparison, the Cup cars have been very, very tame as it stands. I think it's all that dirty air that these cars kick up in comparison. You just can't race as aggressively as you can otherwise. I think it's because the draft package that they have is so dependent on having folks to work with you. It's almost impossible to make moves on yourself. It's like, it's going to be a bit of a leap here. It's almost like that 2011 draft pack they had where tandem drafting was the rage. Everybody was doing it. It was the only way to break away from anybody, except with this drafting package, you can't tandem.
Yeah, and you can't really break away. I mean, you can see like the 41 can stay, hooked up to the 6's bumper, but it's not like they're going to pull away from the pack because of how draggy these cars are. But what I'm really kind of focused on is that 22 car Moreno. I mean, as I was talking about earlier,
there we go.
We've got green flag pit stops actually. I'll hold that thought. Man, Nickerson might have gotten in a little hot there. I don't know. He might have had a speeding penalty because he locked it up a good 100 feet into pit road. I would not be surprised if he got a speeding penalty.
Got a lot of cars in the pit road, and Jason Greenwell might be too far left. He is too far left. So Greenwell going to overshoot his box. He's very well going to lose the draft because of this, as he has not been able to get into his box at all. Already out of pit road, going to be Wilson and Thorpe as Greenwell continues to struggle. 3 wide, almost 4 wide. We are 4 wide out of pit road here, and it's going to be the 51 to break clear out of all of them.
Yeah, and I was correct about Nickerson getting a speeding penalty. He was stuck in his box really, really long. And so that's what the second pack needed, though. That's the leader of the first pack that just had a big mistake and somebody else in the main pack. So that's 2 guys that had been pushing really hard in that main pack to make sure they built that gap that are now just gone from the lead pack. So, I mean, we can see the whole second pack coming down right now. All those cars coming in together, making sure they all come down to get probably 2 tires and fuel if I had to bet. But, I mean, that's kind of heartbreaking for some of the guys in the lead pack. I think they're going to be a little bit slower now as depending on how good the second pack comes out of pit road, whether they're all tight together or whether they have to kind of make some weird adjustments to kind of get hooked up.
So pretty much everybody that pitted on that first run of stops there only took 2 tires. You can tell with the 11 to 12 second time. It is the same story here in this one. A couple of drivers opting to take 4. Luna is among them. Everybody else, though, only going to be taking 2. So a lot of the folks, we mentioned, only taking 2 tire stops here in this one, as we'll work our way back around into turn numbers 1 and 2. Now we get to the big question of how is this going to split up the rest of this field here. You're going to be able to kind of see who's able to kind of capitalize on the draft and who's going to be falling back as a result of having bad pit stop calls.
Yeah, we kind of saw that main pack. It was only 4 cars as they were coming around turn 1 and 2 as they took the lead back from the guys that just pitted. And even the leader, he's completely strung out from the 7 of Lacey, so they're going to have to get hooked up. And then there's another 4 or 5 cars right here that are going to end up being a part of the main pack. But with them being so split up, it kind of gives an opportunity to the second pack. If they can get bunched back together up really, really quickly, then they could definitely make some good lap times to catch the leaders back up. But the only problem is, I mean, we're looking at Kilroe in 9th place is probably the leader of the second pack, but there's only 7 cars that are within a second of him. So it's really going to be about two packs of 7 cars, and it's just going to be about which one pushes better and which one gets hooked up sooner. But it looks like that second pack is actually hooked up pretty well.
The top 2, we were taking a look at the speeds there for just a moment. They were only going about 184 or so. This second pack here was hitting 190 down the straight, so it is a very big speed difference just in strength and numbers here in this one. A 4-car or a 5-car pack will always be quicker than a 2-car pack because they're able to displace more air faster and keep more street line together with less cars having to do less work. So the top 2 here going to be under threat here before long. You see that delta slowly but surely taking on down. Once you get within a second here, that gap is going to plummet.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're catching them at a rapid rate of pace, and they're going to get the draft off the 2 leaders, so they're going to go even faster. We're looking here. This is the second main pack, I believe, and they are hooked up relatively well. They need that second place car. I think that's the 8 of Foster. They need him to stay tucked up under the 28's bumper and just push, push, push. And he really needs that 3rd place car to keep the bubble. Make sure he gets right on his bumper. Don't touch it, because you don't want to have like a really weird kind of stack up between the front 3. But if you can get right on the bumper and just continue to give him a little bit of an air bubble push, he's not quite close enough right there. But if he can continue to give an air bubble push, it'll continue to put the 8 car right on the leader's bumper of the second pack, and they could be able to run down this main pack pretty quick.
Curtis Yancey moves to the top side of the racetrack, caught Lacey quickly and tried to make a run for the lead. He's going to try to get around Bridger Olsen, but nobody going with Yancey here. That's critical. They're looking to just tuck in line with the top two instead of trying to overtake them. Honestly, I think that's a smart idea because they know the second pack behind them is bigger than them. Now they've got 7 cars. They're single file. They're going to be quicker than the pack behind them if they can get themselves tucked in line and single filed out. They know they have to pit again yet as well. There's no point in making an aggressive move like that to go for the lead, but I don't think we're going to be seeing anybody slowing down for a 2-car grouping once we get past our second run of pit stops here.
Yeah, I think that was a really intelligent move from the, I believe is it the 86? Yeah, of Wilson.
Yeah.
That was a very intelligent move just to stay in line, push the 2 guys in front of you. Yeah, they had the speed where they could have passed them, but there would have been a lot of side drafting there that would have slowed down the main pack. And instead of the gap getting cut from 7.5 to, maybe 5.5, it only got cut to 7 seconds. And now they're lined up nose to tail single file. So that was a very, very intelligent move from Wilson there. I just think that was really, really smart. So that kind of, if he doesn't make that move, it becomes like a 14-car race for the lead. But instead, it's just 7. It's just a 7-car race for the lead, and if they're faster than the second pack, which they're not right now, but if they can get hooked up and be faster over time, I mean, that's just less competitors he's got to worry about later in the race.
And look at how aggressive Kevin Foster's been on trying to push that big red car. And as I say that, he's going to fade to the top and poke out a line. I believe might have been overheating the car. He had been leaning on the bumper of the 28 car for several laps now. And we're talking full-on tandeming all the way down the straightaway and in towards turn number 3. Now, that will overheat the car really quickly because when the bumpers are locked like that, there is absolutely zero air that is getting into the grill, and it causes these temperatures to skyrocket to the point where you can blow the engine in only a matter of about 3-4 laps or so. That's why we're seeing Kevin Foster duck to the top, get some air into that grill, and fade to the rear end where he's not at risk anymore.
Yeah, that was a smart move by Kevin Foster, but the only problem with that is you have to have the hope that everybody behind you has the same idea, right? You got to hope that the 27 of Wareham is just as good of a pusher as the 8 was, and that he knows that whenever he gets a little overheated, that he needs to do the same thing. And then you have to hope that the 41 is just as good of a pusher, and then you have to hope the 6 is just as good of a pusher. So it's very, I don't know, it's hopeful that everybody else is doing the same thing, which I don't know why the leader would peek out like that. I think that's going to kill the run, to be honest. I don't know why he would need to do that. He's obviously got all the air possible. Yeah, that's true. He could be saving fuel, but at this point still, as I mentioned earlier, I just feel like, you're racing for the race win. You got to get up to the main pack or else you're not going to have a chance. Who cares if you have to take an extra second of fuel? Just go a little bit deeper on the brakes into pit road and try to make up that time if you can. But I don't know. I think that he should have stayed in line, and the second pack has lost about 0.3 of a second after the 8 car ended up peeking out of the pack and going to the back. So I don't know. That's a questionable decision in my mind, but I'm kind of interested to see. I think the lead pack is getting caught by a pack of lappers. I think Hilbrand's in 8th place is in that pack of lappers, and if they can actually catch the lead pack, that would help the lead pack because they would just have more numbers and be able to push away from the second. The second pack really just needs to push.
Well, we are past halfway by some distance. We've got less than 20 laps to go. We'll take a run down top to bottom of what your field's looking like between these 2 pit stop runs. In the leading pack, you got Bridger Olsen leading the way. Ben Lacey up 11 spots for himself. It's been a successful day for the number 7 car. Same story for Paul Wilson, plus 21, tied with Michael Thorpe Jr., who's running back in 5th for most spots gained out of anybody. Brian Dees sits down at the number 4 spot. EJ Luna's down in 6th. Curtis Yancey rounds out this leading pack. You've got this pair of 2. It's Tony Hilbrands and another lapped car running a bit of no man's land. I believe that to be the 69 of Connor Gibson. Then we get, of course, that second pack headed up by Zachary Wareham now. You got Dalton Kilroe, the outside pole sitter here in this one. Derek Paulson, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, along with Eddie Hagee, Ricky Hart Jr., Kevin Foster, all in the fray. Third pack, right behind them, David Leakey, Mitch Diamond, Taylor Butcher-Benjamin, and Jacob Locklear also running nose to tail in a bit of pack of 4. Sean Brick, Jonathan Canfield running nose to tail. They're on a number 2 duo. Jason Greenwell, all by his lonesome after overshooting the pit box and estimating himself on pit road. He now runs in no man's land. He is just waiting to go a lap down. Richard Holland, Nick Nickerson, and Cody Williams will round out the cars on the lead lap. You've got Wilch, Gibson, and McGill all laps down, and so far Alonso Chicano remains the only driver that is DNF'd from this race. We're going to take a quick step back. We've got 27 laps to go. You're watching the Spence Media Co. 250 for the season opener of the MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to Green Flag TV and to the Spence Media Co. 250 here from the Michigan International Speedway. It has been a long race so far, and it is one that has started to pick up with EJ Luna taking the lead away from Olsen and Wilson. Once again, this race brought to you by Spence Media Co., a media company promoting positive and unbiased news, especially towards the business and economic sector, with opportunities for paid marketing for small businesses and trading courses. For those who want to get into trading, you can find out more by visiting them on Instagram under the handle spence_media.ofc. Proud sponsors of the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series and the season opener. So far, we are coming up to 20 laps to go. We're expecting the first run of pit stops here in the next little while. Notably, EJ Luna has really made a lot of form here along with Bridger Olsen. They overtook several of the race leaders. We got a big battle now for this leading pack, and that second group now starting to run these guys down because of it.
Yeah, they were 7 seconds back because the lead pack kind of caught a group of lap cars and they went side by side. They've actually lost about 2.5 seconds, so the lead pack has kind of lost a lot of time to the second pack here, but just as we start talking about that, coming back from commercial, they get single filed out, and that probably is going to kill the hope of the second pack, if I'm being honest. I mean, I just don't know. Whenever they were side by side, it looked like they were definitely going to run them down, but with them getting single file, maybe somebody came in the voice chat and was like, hey guys, we've lost 2.5 seconds here in 5 laps. We need to calm it down a little bit. And as soon as they get single file, they've got them back 3-4 tenths of a second. So, I just think this lead pack, if they can stay single file and prevent any racing until that last green flag pit stop, this is probably the race for the lead. The guys that you see on screen right now, there's a couple lap cars mixed in there, but everybody that's not a lap car in the main pack is probably, they're probably the only guys that we're looking for a win, unless we get a late race caution.
To give an idea of how the gap has been fluctuating over the last little while, this is the gap between the last car in this leading pack and the leading car in the second pack. You see how much that's come down over the last little while? Look at how huge the difference has been from about laps 67 to 78, 6 tenths loss consistently. That is all from these guys going side by side. That is how massive it is when you get slowed down by yourselves in a main running like this. But now that it's single filed out, you're going to watch here as this gap is going to strengthen back up. They'll cross over to lap number 81, 47.154 for Yancey. Wareham will come across the line in a few seconds. And look at that. All of a sudden, they've lost 2 tenths again, showing how powerful it is when you run single file.
Yeah, they're just absolutely pulling away again now. They've gapped them half a second since they've gone single file, and because they've got a couple lap cars with them, they've actually got a little bit more strength. These lap cars have had tons of damage fixed, but, just having that extra car or two in the pack whenever both packs are both, about 7 to 8 cars long, it just, every little bit matters, and every little lap car that they, kind of engulf through the rest of this race is just going to help them out. And they've got a pack of about 4 lap cars about 10 seconds up the field. So if they can even engulf those 4 cars, I mean, it's just going to make it even harder for the second pack to make anything work.
Now, at this point, we have to start considering when these guys are going to pit again, because they're going to be hitting lap 20 here on this stint here in about 2 laps' time, and that's not too far away from where we saw them pitting the last time around. I would reckon we can expect to see these guys hitting pit road here by lap 90, if not before that. So we're going to get our second run of pit stops here. Could that potentially see that second grouping start to reel them in?
It definitely could. It just depends on how good each pack gets in, But also, after the pit stops, it's only going to be about 10 to 12 laps of green flag running. So I just don't know if there will be quite enough time for anybody in the second pack to make up that gap. I'm also curious to see if there's anybody in the main pack that has kind of created an allegiance with another driver or two throughout the race or beforehand. And maybe they'll come down pit road a lap earlier than everybody else and hope that they can jump some guys. And you got to make sure that everybody knows, don't fill this thing all the way up with fuel. If you do, you're costing yourself 8 seconds on pit road whenever everybody else is only going to be taking about 2 or 3 seconds. So that could definitely ruin a couple of these guys' races if they just don't have the fuel checked perfect. So I expect a bunch of 0-tire pit stops with just a splash of gas to get us to the finish.
Less than 20 laps remaining in this leading pack. Wareham, Kilroe, Paulson, Marino, Haggy, Hillbrands, Hart, and Foster. Kilroe going to duck out from the outside to the outside line. He's going to start to fade towards the rear. Being potentially overheating after he had done a lot of bump drafting to try to push up and help Wareham further up throughout this field. That will now leave Derek Paulson as the driver to lead the grouping in this one. And all the while, they are continuing to slip further and further backwards and out of the clutch as a race win, looking more and more improbable every single lap. Got a bit of side-by-side, though, going on further in the back here. 2 cars onto the highest side of the racetrack. I believe that would be Welch, one of the lap cars, 2 down, and the 7 as well went with him. And the 7 car having to fall towards the rear. That would have been Benjamin Lacey.
Oh, man, somebody makes another move to the outside right in front of Lacey. I believe that's D's in the 51 car, but, I mean, it's just not going to work out. He's got no help up there, and I'm a little confused why people would even be trying to make these moves to the outside right now. I would think that just being single file and making sure you keep that gap as big as possible before the pit stops would be the right way to go about it, because you just don't know how you're going to come out, right? Like, you could come out of the pit road cycle here from the lead pack, and there could be 2 or 3 packs that are split separate from these main guys. You could have a pack of 2, a pack of 3, and another pack of 3. And if you're in that, maybe the first pack, that's really what you need to focus on. And the way to do that is to get off of turn number 4 on the lap you're going to pit and dive it down to the inside and just try to make up as much time under braking as you can into pit road, you know, if you're at the back of this pack anyway. So I just don't think going side by side right now is the smartest thing. It could cost them some time, but you know, I'm saying that, but the second pack is still falling off pretty hard on them right now.
Yancey jumps back up into the middle lane, and he'll try to make a move to get further up inside the top 5. You also saw Brian Dees in 17 go 3 wide coming off of turn number 4. He jumped to the middle groove in a deliberate move to push himself further down the field. That's a bit of an interesting call to find himself now towards the rear, potentially looking to get out of the way, so he has less of a it's less of a hassle for him when he decides to come down pit road. A lot of drivers by now are going to be looking to be making those discussions. When do you want to come on down to pit road? Yancey working with Welch on the top. Alden, Nickerson, and Williams all coming into pit road. That was from a pack that was set to go lap down. So we're kicking off that second round of pit stops here. Now it's the big question of when.
Yeah, and if I'm in this main pack, I probably want to come sooner rather than later, because if a caution comes out and you're on pit road, or even if it's after you've completed your pit road cycle, you're gonna, you know, jump to the front of the pack, because everybody else that hasn't come down yet will still have to come during the caution. Now there's a little bit of risk to that, because you still need enough people on your same strategy, right? Like if you come down by yourself, you're screwed no matter what. You're just throwing your race away. But if you can get 2 or 3 other guys in this main pack, with them having a 7-second gap now to the second pack, you know, you could definitely make up some time doing a little bit of a short pit and making sure that you're on pit road before a caution comes out.
As far as noting, that second pack could be looking to come on in a bit sooner to try to undercut this grouping, because once you get yourself into pit road, it's a lot easier to go for positions if you are the ones that are trying to run these guys down as opposed to trying to get a link back up. So they could be looking to coordinate with together. A lot of the guys, by the way, are not running in the team channels that you would typically expect. They are running about half this field as it stands are running in just a general lobby. So they are more than able to communicate to each other privately, whereas a lot of these guys in the front group, they're more isolated in their own team channels. So how do you want to navigate that, right? They have a much bigger ability to coordinate with a much larger group than these front runners can.
And that's kind of a double-edged sword, you know, like if you communicate in the chat that you want to come a little early, well, all of a sudden half the field knows that you want to come a little bit early. So it's not like it even becomes much of a strategy play, because everybody else is going to be on the same page as you. So I don't necessarily know if you would necessarily want to do that. I feel like maybe PMing somebody through iRacing would be the better way to go about it. You just don't want to, you know, kind of show your hand in a Discord chat or over the live chat. You just want to have a couple people kind of know what's going down, as we have some people from a third pack coming down pit road right now.
Benjamin, Locklear, Leakey, and Diamond are all in the pit road. These are some of the guys that are up in that main chat, and Diamond's into the pit wall. Diamond overshoots the box and slams into the pit wall. That's going to no doubt give him some left front damage and potentially cost him big time into this one as well. But this is, again, a couple of guys going for the undercut. Sean Britt and Jonathan Canfield are in as well. How do these leading 2 packs respond? Here come the leaders.
Man, they're fanning out huge going down the front stretch. Like I said, the guys on the inside are just trying to outbreak everybody on the outside, trying to jump some positions in this main grouping with everybody being single filed in. And it's a big, oh man, a little bit of contact towards the back of pit road. Everybody does a good job keeping it straight though. And the second pack comes in with the main pack as well.
All right, this is it. It's the money stop, the one you cannot afford to get wrong. It could be the last one of pit stops you make all night long, and it is the most crucial one. If you want to make a strategy call, now is the time to do it. A lot of drivers only taking fuel only, while several other cars cycle their way out of pit road. Luna, Olsen, Yancey, Lacey, Thorpe, Dees, Marino, Haggy, all taking fuel only. Wilson, the first driver to take 4.
And that's going to completely kill Wilson. I don't know why he would put any tires on the race car right there. That's going to completely kill any chance he has. Oh, somebody's out of gas on the inside, it looks like.
Got out of gas, got into the grass, trying to leave pit road.
Man. I was about to say, I don't understand how you could pit and be out of gas, but maybe he had made a mistake. But I mean, he still made a mistake coming off of pit road. It's just not as major as I thought, but it doesn't look like it's going to cost him too much. Just a couple positions. Yancey, that is, in the 51, is still going to be a part of this main pack and a part of the race for the win.
Still going to be part of that leading pack, but I tell you what, Michael Thorpe Jr. had to do a scrambling there to get around Lacey there. He had the chance to try to get up and around him, and he took it. He saw an opening between himself and Jansen. He says, yeah, I'm going to take that spot, thank you very much, and made the overtake exiting pit road. It's not something you see all that often. How about this, though? EJ Luna and Bridger Olsen out in front by 5.2 seconds over the rest of this field. I don't know how in the world they were able to get so far out in front, but they were a good 2 seconds faster than the pits. They were better on pit exit as a whole, but they are going to be much slower than third place on back. But do these guys in the back have enough time to catch them with less than 10 to go?
I would probably say no. The only reason I think they could build that big of a gap is if they were the only two to short fuel. Maybe everybody else packed it full of the 65% fuel load that we have in this series. But I don't know. That's so confusing from everybody else. I don't know why you would take so much gas. I mean, you've cost yourself 5 seconds. They only were able to cut it down 3/10 there that lap. I just don't think that's going to be enough to run down the 2 leaders.
They were more aggressive getting into their pit box and getting out of their pit box because EJ Luna, 6.4 in the box. Bridger Olsen, 7.3 in the box. Thor, by the way, 7.4. So it wasn't entirely on the pit stop time, but the pit lane time is what the difference is made up. Thorpe, Lacey, and Yancey were all 34 seconds in pit road. Bridger Olsen, only 32. EJ Luna, 31. So that was all made on getting in and out of their pit boxes.
Wow. I mean, it looked like they all came in relatively similar. It didn't look like anybody got that big of a gap entering. So, like you mentioned, they must have just had a better jump out of their pit box or a better run also, as they came out, because that's still only about 2 or 3 seconds difference, and they had a 5-second gap. So they must have done really, really good on the apron of turn 1 and 2 to build that gap back up. But as soon as I mentioned that I didn't think they were going to have enough time to run them down, they've actually chopped about a second off that last lap. I mean, it's down to 3 seconds with 7 laps to go, and EJ Luna gets loose coming off at turn number 2. He got a bad bump from Olsen there in the 0-2, and that's actually going to bring a third car, a lap car there into the play. I think that's Canfield in the 16. That third car could be enough to kind of keep them above the lead pack. Maybe they can get a little bit more speed if he pushes hard, but that was a hair-raising moment from EJ Luna.
Just when you thought it was going to be a fairly mundane finish at Daytona, all of a sudden it's kicking off. The 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. leading the charge of the second pack. Wilson and the second group will not have enough time to catch up to the leaders. This is now a 6-horse race to the end. 2.4 seconds. The gap is continuing to close with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, they're absolutely going to get there. I mean, as long as they stay hooked up and don't try to pass before they get to them, they're absolutely going to run these 2 leaders down with the third lap car. I'm still surprised that they were able to do so good through the pit stop sequence. But if this second pack does catch them, it's actually going to end up being a detriment because they're going to have such a big run with the draft from the main pack that they're just not going to be able to pull up and block. I just think that these leaders of the second pack are going to be able to go to the outside with almost no challenge from EJ Luna or Olsen in the 0-2 car.
The top 2 are being helped, you mentioned, by a lap car, and I believe that to be the 16 of Jonathan Canfield that we're seeing down at the tail end, currently the lucky dog driver. I think one of the big questions now is, are we going to be seeing anybody trying to get around it? Are we going to see another yellow flag? Because a caution now puts us into overtime. And,
that would be an absolutely amazing finish.
Well, you and I both know how crazy overtime finishes on a super speedway are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, goodness gracious. I think we called an Atlanta race a couple months ago where, it was just crazy. We had somebody who restarted 25th on the green-white checkered, the first green-white checkered, end up winning the race after we had 2 more cautions. So if we get that caution, you never know what's going to happen. But, as I was saying, the second pack was going to catch them. They've only been catching them about 3/10 of a lap now ever since the 2 leaders picked up the third car there, the lapper of Canfield. So, that third car could be the difference here, keeping them in the race and keeping them up front.
Gap has definitely shrunk down in terms of how much they're closing in. It was 1.4 seconds on 93, 9/10 on 94, only 3 and 4/10 though on 95 and 96. Remember though, they just have to get within a second. That's the sweet spot. Once they get within a second, this gap is going to crumble. We've seen it happen time and time again. It happened in the first pit stop run that we saw when Luna and Olsen broke way out in front of the leading pack. Only the last time by, that second pack closed them down. They slowed up to allow them to maintain the lead. They're not going to be so generous this time around. 3 to go.
Yeah, no kidding about that. Which, they still gained a little bit that lap, but, they're just on the edge of that second gap to get the draft. They're only 1.3 off of the third place car. Well, I say third place, but the third running car in that lead pack, the lap car. So they're right there. They're sniffing it. They don't need to go side by side right now. Lacey needs to stay in line to keep the momentum up, but that little peek to the outside actually cost them about a 10th and a half.
Oh boy, it's getting intense. This is one of those races now where it's all down to how well they can work together. This is very much a team race now, and a lot of races finding out the hard way. 3-car tandem down the back straightaway and into turn numbers 3 and 4. That might give them the push they need. We're closing in 2 laps to go, and now their gap is down to a second.
I don't know if the 7's having to breathe his engine a little bit. Maybe he's overheating because he's been pushing so hard, but they are within that second. And the third place car, the lap car, has actually fallen off the 2 leaders a little bit, which is going to give them the draft a little bit earlier. And they've got it. They are in the draft going into turn 1 with 2 laps to go.
Michael Thorpe Jr. going to pull to the high side to get around Canfield, the lap car. Canfield backs up. He knows it's at stake. He wants nothing to do with the battle. Look at them closing distance on the back straightaway with a lap and a half to go. Down the Daytona super stretch. Here comes Thorpe, making the charge to the high side. Gets around Olsen. Gets around Luna. And it's Michael Thorpe Jr. to the lead as we get set to take the white flag.
My goodness, what an absolutely huge run they had going around the outside. Oh, the 7's in the wall coming off at turn number 4. That's Lacey. That's going to kill his run, and that's going to give Thorpe a really big lead, but he might not want that coming to the white flag.
Final lap, 2.5 miles left to go. Derek Paulson has spun it around, entering turn number 3. We'll get back to all of that in a moment as he got the 22 stopped on the bottom. No caution. We'll keep this one green. Thorpe working to the top side. Here comes Lacey giving a big shove up to the top side, courtesy of Curtis Yancey. We worked our way down the back straightaway. Final time today. Who's got what it takes to go for the win? It's going to be 3 wide for the lead. Olsen will cut to the middle. You got the 24 of Luna now trying to power through on the bottom. 3 wide. We worked our way into turn numbers 3 and 4. It's going to be a dead heat when we come off of turn number 4. Olsen with the lead. You got Luna trying to close him in. 1 car into the wall. We're crashing across start finish, and Bridger Olsen takes the race win on a phenomenal ending from the Spence Media Co. 250 at Daytona.
My goodness, what a run Olsen got out of turn number 2. Able to make it 3 wide for the lead, and everybody else behind him was just side drafting so heavily, trying to be that second place car to be able to have a run, and nobody was able to build it up as they were beating and banging coming off at turn number 4.
Just waiting now on the final few cars to cross the start finish. Still got a couple of last minute drag races, and how is that? Couldn't have been more than a few thousandths of a second for 14th and 15th place there as they got set to come across the line. But how about Bridger Olsen? Came out of left field, stole that restart, thought for a moment he had a beat when he found himself slipping back. Yet he will work his way to the front straightaway, and now he will set Daytona International Speedway alight. He'll burn it down by taking the season opener win in the HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series, and what a way to go about doing it.
Yeah, he did a great job whenever that second pack caught him and EJ Luna there for the lead. He didn't pull up and block. He didn't try to do anything crazy. He just stayed in line, knew that another run was going to come because they had a lap and a half to the finish, and he ended up getting that run and did everything right after that moment. Like I mentioned, in turn 1 and 2, he just had an absolutely huge run on the outside, took it to the middle, made it 3 wide for the lead, and ends up coming through to win the race. I mean, what an absolutely amazing move from Bridger Olsen on the last lap.
As Bridger Olsen will burn it down on the front straightaway. We'll take a rundown of your official post-race results after an absolutely phenomenal drive that we have had here tonight in the High Tide Racing League season opener for the MF Racing Designs Cup Series. It is Bridger Olsen to take the race win over Michael Thorpe Jr. Curtis Yancey will bring it up in 3rd to wrap out the podium. EJ Luna will be back in 4th. Brian Dees in 5th. Ben Lacey in 6th. Paul Wilson was in 7th. Eddie Hagee finishes this race in 8th. Kevin Foster was in 9th with Dalton Kilroe in 10th. Ricky Hart Jr. will round out the 11th place driver with Taylor Burcham Benjamin to wrap out 12th. Tony Hilbrands, Jacob Locklear, and David Leakey for the top half of the field, Austin.
Yeah, absolutely great job from all those guys. 16th was Zachary Wareham. 17th, Ethan Moreno. 18th, Nick Nickerson. He had an unfortunate speeding penalty that cost him a chance at the win whenever he was leading. 19th, Cody Williams. 20, Sean Britt. 21st, Mitch Diamond. 22nd, Jonathan Canfield. 23rd, Richard Holland. 24th, Derek Paulson. 25th, Jason Greenwell. 26th, Cody Welch, followed by Connor Gibson in 27th, Austin McGill in 28th, and Alonzo Chicano, our first car out of the race tonight, and only car out of the race in 29th.
What a night of racing that it has been for us here in this one, and it is unfortunate then that we are not going to be able to talk to all the main guys to close things out, but we'll be able to do that and more when we go racing just 1 week from now, and it is going to see a swing right back down to the tracks that we know and love at the Auto Club Speedway out west in California. For now, though, here for the High Tide Racing League and the MMA Racing Designs Cup Series, we have to say thank you so much for joining us. It has been one heck of a show tonight, and we'll look set for everything that's set to come forward and beyond. You've been watching the Spence Media Co. 250 from Daytona on Greenfly TV. My name is Manola Rambo with Austin Edstrom beside me in the broadcast booth. Thank you so much for joining us on this delayed broadcast here. Better late than ever, as they always say. And we'll be right back on time on Monday night when we get set to go racing over 1 week from now at Auto Club.